Hi everybody, it's Josiah. Just checking in with you guys so that you guys can see how I'm doing, and I'm going to show you around my apartment a little bit. Courtney and I are doing this just so that you guys can know how we're doing, and we'll have some more stuff coming for you for OT at home. Alright, this is kind of the front entryway of my apartment. I have a living room in here, bedrooms down that way, a little bit more living room. Here's our kitchen, little dining room with coffee bar. I have a really nice balcony, kind of a little woods right there, which is fun. And there's Taylor. Taylor, come here, say hi. Say hi. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed getting to take a little look into what my life is like at home. Just wanted to let you guys know that I'm doing pretty well. Aaron is doing pretty well. We are doing about as well as anybody can be right now, right? But our families are good, and we wanted you guys to know that. Thanks for taking the time to check out these videos.
Hey everybody, it's Courtney. I hope everyone's doing well. It's been really great to hear from everybody on the Facebook group, and I'm glad that we can still chat and be connected with one another. I'm here at home just trying to do my best working at home. It's been a little hard, but I think I'm getting into a good routine. Otherwise, just cleaning up, trying to organize my new house, which has been good to have some time at home. Hanging out with my dog. Come here, Max. Come here. This is my puppy Maxwell. He's a 6-month-old golden retriever, and he loves that we are home. Don't you, Max? Yes, he does. So with being at home, our instinct can be to curl up into a ball, stay in bed, and just be lazy. I know I've had those issues as well, but we want to make sure that we are all keeping moving and incorporating exercise into our routine. So today we want to talk about some exercises that we can do while we're at home. Why do we want to exercise? Well, research has shown that exercising can improve our symptoms and actually decrease fatigue. Not only is exercise used to improve your fitness, endurance, and strength in your arms or your legs, but it can also be good for your mind and your mood. Exercising should be moderate and focus on aerobic exercise, so getting your heart rate up a little bit, stretching, and then also progressive strengthening. So how are we going to do this at home? Well, exercising doesn't have to be strict exercise. We wanted to talk about a few ways that you can incorporate activities that you partake in every single day and how we can make it meaningful exercise.
Hi everybody. One of the things that we wanted to talk to you guys about, because you're going to be spending more time at home, is this concept of energy conservation. We've talked about it in OT groups before. We want you guys to have enough energy to do all the things that you want to do throughout the course of the entire day. There are a couple principles that we've talked about before that I want to bring up again now so that you can reference them later. One of those strategies is to plan activities that require more energy during the part of the day where you have the most energy. For some people that might be in the morning, for other people that might be in the afternoon, but just plan the stuff that requires the most energy for the time of the day that you have the most energy. Another option would be planning rest breaks throughout the day. Or through maybe even breaking up that activity and planning rest breaks throughout the activity that you're trying to do. There's a general good rule of thumb for energy conservation that you can follow, and it's a question that you ask yourself: when I get done with this activity, would I have enough energy to be able to do it again? And if the answer is no, then you probably want to try to break up that activity into smaller pieces to give yourself rest, or ask for help if you need it and if it's available. Finally, we've talked about adaptive equipment a lot in OT group and for other things. That's just one strategy to help a task require less energy. That might be using a chair or a walker to get around your home, even if you don't normally do it, or using a reacher or a sock aid, something like that. It might also just be changing an aspect of the task that you wouldn't normally, like doing something sitting down versus standing up. Thanks for listening, guys.
So the first activity that we wanted to talk about was doing dishes. So doing dishes can be considered exercise with our hands, our arms, and our shoulders. First, we can use our washcloth, wrap it around our hand, and hold it with our thumb. And that way we're working on strengthening our thumb. Or we can wash dishes with a closed fist, and that's working on our not only our hand strength, but also our arm strength and our shoulder strength. Or just simply picking up the dishes and putting them in the dishwasher is also strengthening as you're picking up dishes with our shoulders and our arms, having some weight to it and reaching to put it in the dishwasher. The activity also works on things such as endurance if you're like me and don't wash your dishes and have a lot of dishes to do at once.
Meal prep is another good activity that can be both physical and cognitive depending on how you want to do it and if this type of activity is available to you. There are a couple different ways that you could do it to either increase the challenge or to modify it to make it easier. So for example, let's say I want to cut some apples. I'm going to need to get a cutting board, I'm going to need to get a knife, and I need to get apples, right? A way to make this task a little bit easier would be to start by getting all of the things that I need and then getting them to where I'm going to go. So that might look like this countertop, or if I'm going to sit down to do it, that would be another way to make it easier. I could sit at the table here. I would go first over here and I would get one of my knives, and then I would come down to the cupboard to get a cutting board, and then I have my fruit right here. I could get all that stuff, take it over to the table, and then cut that apple up sitting down. If I wanted to increase the challenge so that it would take a little bit more energy, but I'm trying to get a little bit more exercise, maybe I go and do one of those things all one at a time, and maybe I do it standing at the counter versus sitting down. So that's one example on how meal prepping is a way to get some physical activity.
So these next set of exercises can be done when you're washing the table, drying off the table, or even just when you're sitting down after you're done eating. It works on stretching your arms and your hands and your elbows out, and they're called tabletop exercises. So tabletop exercises are used to help not only strengthen the arm muscles, but improve the range of motion, and then also help with stiffness and pain. So let's say that my right arm is able to do a little bit more than my left arm. I want to place my left arm on the towel and use as much muscle in my left arm as I can, but then I can also use my right arm to help guide. I want to make sure that I'm moving slowly and not causing any pain, but also still feeling a good stretch. So the first one we're going to do is with my left hand here, move it as much as I can and try to extend that elbow out. And again, you can use this right arm to help. You just want to make sure you're moving the muscles in the left arm as much as possible. So try to get a good stretch in your elbow and make sure that arm stays as straight, and you can hold it for a little bit and bring it back. And do about 5 of those. And again, using that right arm if necessary. Okay. And the next one we want to do, again using our left hand as much as possible, is keeping our arm straight as we can and moving it across our body. So we're trying to get this motion in our arm and moving it across our body, feel a little bit of stretch. Again, use that right arm if needed, and then we'll go out from the body. I'm going to move a little bit so you can see my hand, but you want to just sit straight and keep your arm as straight as possible and try to move it away from the body. And again, using that right arm to help as needed. The next one we want to do is bend our elbow at the table. And this table's a little high for me. You don't want your shoulder to be coming up. Probably just at elbow length, or elbow height would be good. So keep your elbow on the table and then bring it in and rotating at the shoulder. Keep that elbow and that arm in. And then we want to bring it out as well. And if we need a little assistance, we can hold that arm with our right hand and make sure it's staying where it is and rotating it out. Again, rotating it in and then rotating it back out. And using that arm as much as we can. And these can be done on both sides too. Feel that stretch and feel that pull a little bit. Next, what we can do here is a little bit of wrist movement and forearm movement. So you can rest your elbow on the towel and then do a little bit of turning with your wrist. Have this palm towards the ceiling, and then keeping your arm where it is, have the palm towards the floor. And if you need help with that, you can also use the other hand. Feel that stretch going in both directions. Keep that range of motion well. And then laying your hand down flat, you can help with some wrist flexion. And then some wrist extension. Bring it back. Bring it forward into your body, bring it back. Good, and then your right arm can help as much as needed. And then we want to do some finger and thumb flexion and extension. So bringing that thumb up and far back as we can, using our right hand as needed to stretch it back. Same with those fingers. And then flexing them in and using that right hand as much as needed, or whatever hand works for you. Stretching them back, flexing them in. Or if you're just plain old cleaning the tabletop, you can use both arms, stretch those arms out. That gives you good endurance, good range of motion, a good stretch, and the table's clean.
Another thing that we wanted to talk about with you guys that has benefits for both your physical body but also your mental health during times right now is the chance to get outside a little bit. I know everybody might not have the same opportunity as in being able to get outside of the physical building that you're in, but if the option's available to you, whatever that you can do, even if you can get by a window, getting around the outdoors is good to let that sunlight hit your face, get some fresh air. So even for me, if I don't want to go outside or go for a walk or anything, I could at least come outside on the balcony here. I can let the air hit my face a little bit. It reminds us that there's more than just what we're stuck inside looking at during this time. So whatever that looks like for you, whatever way that you can, whether it be using a chair or a walker or a cane, whether it's just outside of your room, walking hallways, getting in front of a window, or if you are able to get outside a little bit, let the sun hit your face, feel the wind a little bit, and get outside when you can.
All right, and this activity that we can use as exercise is folding laundry, something we all have to do too much of. And I know being at home, that laundry probably isn't piling up as much, but it is something that we could do. Hello! We also try to keep the socks away from this guy, don't we, Max? It is something that we can do to help improve our arm endurance and also stretch out those shoulders and elbows and hands. So folding a towel, rolling it up, using those wrists and those fingers. It's a good motion. Also, it makes your towels look fancy, like you're staying at a hotel. Or folding that towel, maybe using this arm, crossing your body this way. Not only then are you using some rotational movement, but you're stretching that shoulder in a way that it normally doesn't. Same with this, crossing it this way, folding it up. Again, depending how much laundry we have, it can also be an endurance activity as the activity is lasting longer than maybe 5 minutes and we have to keep moving our arms as much as possible. And Max is intruding again.
All right, guys, another thing that we wanted to talk to you about is the idea of using things around your house as resistive forms of exercise or anything that adds weight to what you're doing. You can do any type of exercise motion with just your body weight or against gravity, but to provide more of a challenge, you add weight to it. So it'll be like weights at a gym or maybe bands during therapy, but when you're stuck at home, how can you do it at home? So I have a couple options behind me that I'm going to show you, and I'll try to explain some ideas that I would have for each one so that you guys can see that. So this is just a bottle of water. because it's holding liquid, it's obviously going to be heavier than an empty bottle. You could do any type of range of motion that you want to, lifting it above your head, holding it out to the side. All of that stuff is good for your shoulders, but you could also squeeze this because the water provides a little bit of a resistance there. So if you wanted to work on a little bit of grip strength there, that's one way that you could do it. This is an example of ways that you can modify the challenge. Like I have a full bottle of syrup here and an empty bottle of syrup. If lifting something that is unopened or has a lot of liquid in it that's too heavy, you could pour it into something else or just take a little bit out of the bottle to make it a little bit easier there. Obviously, the bigger containers that you get, the heavier it's going to be, and it might require 2 hands to hold and move around. So something like this is trail mix. It's much heavier compared to the water bottle, so you might need to use 2 hands whenever you're doing a motion with this one. If you want to really increase the challenge and have a lot of weight, something like a water filter that can get really full and hold a lot of water is something that would increase the challenge quite a bit in terms of the amount of weight that you're trying to do. Sometimes you're able to pack quite a bit of weight into a relatively small thing. So like this jar of pickles is about as heavy as the trail mix was, but it's in a smaller container, so you might be able to negotiate that with 1 hand. You might need to use 2 hands to do it. Obviously, keep safety in mind. We don't want anything to break, don't want anything to be easily spillable. So even if it was just getting the water filter container, filling it up with water and pouring it out again, that's a way that you can use a household item to get some resistive exercise.
This next activity may seem pretty simple, but it's also very important and very effective, especially when we're sitting in a chair for longer periods of time. So this exercise is just using our arms to lift our bottom from the chair as much as we can, and then repeating that exercise. In doing this, we're working on our shoulder strength and our arm strength, as well as our endurance, but also engaging that core as we're sitting up in our chair and holding ourselves above the seat. Not only is this important for strengthening purposes, but also to provide some relief from our bottoms from sitting for a longer period of time. That way we can avoid pressure sores, and then we're shifting that pressure on our bottom while we're sitting. So do a couple of these, and again, don't overdo it, but do as many as you can. Take a break if needed, and do some of those for strengthening. So this last activity is probably something all of us could do a little bit of, cleaning. And after talking to you guys, it sounds like a lot of you are doing the same thing. So whether we're sweeping or putting away clothes, we're using our arms to move that broom across, and then again, we're moving our arms across our body in ways that we don't normally do, and that's helpful to stretch out the shoulders, and also grabbing the broom with a fist or even our thumbs and using it to push and sweep up dirt. My dog is chasing the broom. Or you could do a little bit of dusting. If it's at a lower level, you're using your arm, crossing your body, stretching, working on that endurance, or even reaching to higher heights. Again, working on that shoulder flexion, reaching up, dusting our cabinets, dusting our shelves, working on that endurance, that stretching, that strengthening. And then our house will hopefully be squeaky clean.
All right, everybody, I hope those videos were helpful and maybe gave you some ideas. Obviously, if you guys have any questions or want to reach out to Courtney and I about anything, you can reach us through the Facebook group. I wanted to end our time here by just kind of wrapping up a couple of the concepts that we talked about. One being energy conservation, planning to try planning activities so that you have energy throughout the entire day and not just one part, taking breaks when you need it, but most importantly, listening to your body to not overexert yourself. And number two, the importance of exercise. Anyone who is living with a progressive condition, the goal is just to maintain the strength and function that you have for as long as you can, and exercise is really important for helping you keep that. Even though we're all going to be stuck at home for an extended period of time, doing these type of exercises, whether it be a program that you got from physical therapy, looking things up online, number one, it can just help keep your mind occupied, and number two, moving your body will help you feel better, other than just giving you something to do. So we're thinking about you guys. We hope you stay well, and as always, we'll be checking in on you guys.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to our videos. I hope you found some of these tips helpful, and then hopefully you guys can do a little bit of exercise while you're doing your chores or working at home. It's been really good to interact with you, even if it is online. We still like getting able to communicate with everybody and hearing how everybody is, and we hope you guys feel the same. We wish you well and hope that we're back seeing you guys soon. Bye!